Star Wars Battle for Naboo is an N64 exclusive created by Factor 5, the makers of the Rogue Squadron series. And you can tell because it basically plays similar to them. One big difference being that sometimes you are on land, sometimes you are in boats, and sometimes you're flying. It plays alright. I will say some limitations really annoy me, but I understand why it existed. To get something like this to run on an N64 was impressive, even if it does mean big limitations. Stuff like I can't fly too high, or I might see a mountain and want to fly over it, but then an invisible ceiling smacks me back down. Also, the draw distance is garbage, and the game doesn't feel great to play. Like, I know I'm not a pilot gamer, that's not really for me, but I've never had such a hard time aiming in any flying game as I was having in this game. I swear I couldn't hit shit. Now I admit, this isn't my kind of game. I don't like flying games. I don't even like vehicle-based games usually, but that doesn't make this bad. I've played plenty, and multiple Star Wars ones, and, well, this one does have not the greatest controls and it's kind of bad aiming. I don't really think it's bad. Like, if you like Rogue Squadron, you'll probably like this. I don't think it's as good, but it has like a similar feel in terms of how it plays. Story-wise, you are different members of Naboo trying to take on the Trade Federation, and the whole game takes place on Naboo, which I really like. The idea of a Phantom Menace game where you are the Naboo soldiers and not Jedi is really fucking cool to me. Sadly, it's a vehicle-based game, but hey, for some people, that's still a good thing. That, and they actually do have actual people run about. They look absolutely awful, but they are here, and so are some battle droids. Honestly, what I can praise the most about this game is Naboo. It looks good. Theed looks great. I love me some Theed, and zooming around is top tier. I would play a whole game in Theed. And then the outside swamps aren't totally empty. There are farmers and such, statues, homes, and everywhere is constantly under attack. And minor lines from the movie, like, take them to Camp 4 for processing, were taken into this game. Cause they have a Camp 4 where they hold hostages for forced slave labor. And I really enjoy the aspect of rebel Naboo fighters attacking the Trade Federation while the plot of the movie is happening elsewhere. And it isn't just the Trade Federation either. There's also a Hutt who we are fighting against too. For a little bit we work with him and then we end up fighting against him. And I honestly really do like these vehicles. Again, I'm not even a vehicle guy, but these fighters have always been gorgeous to me. And there's a bomber version and this fucking blue police version, and fuck man, this color on this ship is so gorgeous. It's fucking hot, man. Anyway, this game's like alright. Totally mediocre. We do get our final space battle up against the Trade Federation, just like in the movie, which is neat. The level itself is not that great, but it is neat that you get to do that. And then we have a celebration on Naboo afterward. Overall, this game is fine. It ain't for me, but that doesn't make it bad because it's not for me. And if some hardware limitations weren't there, I bet this game could have been better. Star Wars Starfighter was released on February 2001 for the PS2, which is wild because December 2000 is when Battle for Naboo came out. That means within a 3-month time span, 2 different Naboo flying, dogfighting, piloting games taking place in Episode 1 came out. Both developed by different people, making me wonder why they even made 2 games at all and didn't just focus on one of those. I will say, they aren't the same game. There is plenty enough differences, but there's also so much similar I'm not sure why both were made. But hey, I'm fine with it. So many Star Wars games were coming out at this time. Starfighter's plot, well, it does have a lot of the same things, mainly due to it being a movie tie-in. The overall characters and missions are mostly different. You either play as a Naboo Starfighter pilot, which is, I guess, the same, but then there's an ex-Trade Federation mercenary who found out the Trade Federation was bad, or a pirate captain. You don't really pick, it is mission specific. It does handle and shoot far, far better than Battle for Naboo, and it being on a generation of console ahead, the draw distance isn't an issue the way it was on Battle for Naboo. The game is hard, or maybe it's just because I suck ass at flying games, but it's also a short game, so even though it is hard, that helps pad some stuff out. It feels a lot better to play, and you also have some very limited squad commands you can give. But I think story-wise, Battle for Naboo was better, plus it had more vehicles, and sometimes you could switch mid-level. And in this game, that's not a thing. This one's pretty bare bones. Both games end with the Trade Federation fight and even have some of the same objectives, but Starfighter has you fight a mercenary boss who killed your trainer, and you do so inside the Federation ship, so that's kind of neat. Overall, the game's just pretty mediocre. Nothing about it really stands out as great, and despite it handling and playing better, I think I prefer the Battle for Naboo. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a pod racing game based on the second coolest scene from the Phantom Menace movie. It released on the N64 and Dreamcast, and I'm playing a re-released version for Xbox One. The racing is fast as hell, as a pod racing game should be. And despite being fast as hell, it isn't overwhelming. Most of the tracks are built in a way that make it play smoothly. Plus a mini-map and memorization makes it easier as well, and it honestly handles very good. I've never been a racing game person, but this one is a lot of fun to play, and it can be played multiplayer. It has a boost that you can't use for too long or you'll overheat it. And you can even repair your pod while driving at the cost of your speed. If your pod crashes or takes too much damage, you will die. Now you do respawn, but it does hurt you or lets others pass you or get ahead of you. You unlock characters and tracks by winning first place. There's tons of tracks, including the Tatooine one from the film. There's also characters from the films and even the games. I was playing as Teemto from the Phantom Menace, and that's honestly super fucking cool.
Hello! I'm having myself a little pre-race celebration!
One thing I don't like is sometimes you gotta pull up or down, and the only way to know is to die. And sometimes you gotta boost to make jumps, and again, you won't know until you've already died at least once from it. But back to the good, the game lets you buy parts from Watto's shop for your pod racer. And to make it better, if he doesn't have it, maybe it's in his junkyard. It's super fucking cool. And Watto is honestly one of the best parts, from his singing the theme, to just the random fucking shit he says.
They come here, they look around, they no buy. Why nobody buy?
I love how close the characters look to the Phantom Menace game, too. Like, it feels like it's almost part of it. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a very fast-paced and fun racing game. I highly recommend it. Again, I'm not a racing guy, but this game is fun as hell, and in the words of Anakin, now this is pod racing. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out some of my other Star Wars content. I have plenty and will keep making more. Star Wars Super Bombad Racing is a game that baffles me. A PS2 exclusive chibi kart racer in the Star Wars universe tying into the Phantom Menace movie. Why? Who asked for this? I know they were cranking out games at the time, but sometimes it's okay to say no to an idea. It's not even a good racer. It's pretty mediocre. I will say the tracks are much more memorable to me than the Pod Racer game, and it's unique seeing how they took things from the film and made it into a kart race track. But that's about the best I can do with the compliments. Also, Grey Griffin voice acts here, so that's a compliment. But then again, what game doesn't she voice act in? I'm pretty positive I heard her in the Starfighter game as well. To be honest, I don't hate this game. It's kind of fun in its own unique way. Like, it could be interesting to play with a buddy for like 20 minutes, but kart racer wise, there are better out there. And Star Wars wise, there are better out there. And as a PS2 exclusive, it's not the most accessible game to get. The music also kinda sucks. It's bad renditions of actual Star Wars music. but like really stupid sounding. Again, it's not a bad game. I make it sound like it's awful. It isn't awful. A lot of work went into it. I just don't think it's a good game. I'm sure some nostalgic fans would disagree, and that's fine. You can like it. I'm just shocked by its very existence. It is a very, very short game though, so even if you disagree with me and you do love this game, you will run out of content very quickly. It was kind of cool seeing Autogunga at the day, but I kind of figured it was deep enough that even day looks dark there. Because don't they go down at day in the film and it was dark? Why is it light there? These are questions I shouldn't bother asking in a game like this, because this isn't canon. It's a silly, goofy experience for children, and that's fine.